Hey everybody, and welcome to my N5 series on the Dirty Wave M8, where I cover a topic in about 5 minutes. Junyan Liu over on Patreon wrote in and asked if I thought the OPXY here pairs well with the Dirty Wave M8. Um, Apparently already has the M8 and has a Ableton Push 3. Feels that the Ableton Push 3 is a little too big, and trying to get like a small studio setup, and was just curious how they pair. I do think that between the two, they do offer quite a bit of compatibility between both of them, and that's nice. I mean, like the tracker style for being able to kind of go in and just draw in and enter notes, super nice, pretty quick for being able to copy paste different parts of a song and chains and kind of just make things very quickly. The OPXY on the flip side, I do really like the XOX style note entry here. It's pretty quick to get data entry done, and you can record those notes and settings if you want into the M8 and then kind of work back and forth. The thing that is nice that the OPUXY brings, although it's got some caveats, is the keyboard does actually allow you to play notes into the Dirty Wave M8. It's something that you will, as you get an M8, you're going to want something that will give you the ability to take notes and put them in so you can kind of play stuff out a little bit more in time, have things swing a little bit more, or potentially go a little bit more off the grid than just having like something where you're just surgically adding in particular notes. That said, the velocity sensitivity on these is okay. It's not great. So it can tell if you're just kind of playing lightly. And I'd say you get a fair amount of velocity, but personally, when I'm doing certain things like working on chops and stuff, I kind of prefer to have pads myself, but it depends on what you want to work with. It is super nice being able to connect the two just over a USB-C connection. Not all MIDI devices will let you do this. The OPXY, though, is capable of being a MIDI and audio host. So basically, it will mount the Dirty Wave M8 and allow you to do stuff. This is something I talked about in a previous video. You cannot do with, for example, the Roland P6. So while I actually think the Roland P6 also is a really nice companion with the M8 because it does give you the ability to play these keys chromatically in keyboard mode, it does mean you have to use your MIDI output jack here to the MIDI in on the Dirty Wave M8. So you're losing the ability to kind of do certain kinds of things with like a lot of devices off of the Dirty Wave M8 doing that. Whereas with this kind of a configuration, because the two are talking to each other, I can actually get the OPXY to also connect to MIDI devices itself. It can then control the M8 as well, like sending tempo, transport controls and things, and still have the MIDI outputs and inputs on the back of the M8 to be able to additionally route some more MIDI around and do some pretty cool sequencing things that you could not otherwise do. That said, though, as I said, I think I would personally, given the price and cost of the OPXY, I wouldn't consider it to be an entry device. If you already got a Push 3, and you're that's kind of also in that space as well for expensive. If you got the standalone one, I would personally probably, if I'm not a big Ableton user, err towards the OPXY if you've got the money for it. I do think that you get some it's pretty basic synth engines. They sound great, but they're pretty basic. You only tend to have 4, sometimes 8 controls on them for the synths. Whereas on the OPXY, on the Dirty Wave M8, you've got full access to all of your different values and settings here, and you can go map those to MIDI parameters. So you can actually use the knobs to go change things. You can use itself to go do automation. You've got tables to do additional automation with LFOs, envelopes, and all that stuff. So you can get really in-depth sound design kind of using the two paired together quite nicely. And if you're just kind of want to get your feet wet and try it out, I do think getting an OPXY or OPZ instead of the OPXY, you can probably get this for like $300, $400, $500 versus the $2,000 to $2,300 you're going to be paying for the OPXY. And you're going to get a similar experience. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get the USB-C here to connect, But if you've got the line card or you've got the line module that's got the green positions here, or you get like the CV or whatever module that's yellow, it also has MIDI out, so you can connect them both up with each other over TRS to each other and still do a lot of the same note stuff. The only thing to note is the OPZ does not have velocity sensitivity, so you can't send velocity data as easily from the OPZ over as you can with the OPXY. Um, Beyond that, I actually kind of think if you're looking to do more sound design, the OP1 Field is probably a bit better. I tend to like the synths and filters and effects on it on the OP1 Field a little bit more. You can do a lot of it, the similar things with the OPXY, but I think there's um, a little bit more of a commitment on the OPXY to have a little bit more of an open set of settings that is used by multiple tracks. Whereas on the OP1 Field, since you've only got one track that you can work on at a time, I think it's just allowed them to open up a little bit more creativity with those effects and how you can apply them. So it just depends on what you're looking for. I do think the P6 has a lot of nice effects on it as well. So I'd look into the Roland P6. What else? What else comes to mind? I actually think if you got an M8, the probably must-have thing, if you have the desk space for it, would be to consider getting the Launchpad Pro Mark III. I have been enjoying learning that and kind of working with it myself. I feel like that is a easy drop-in replacement where you can just disconnect the Dirty Wave M8 from it and use it handheld. And then if you want to actually get a little bit more serious and have some space on your desktop, the Launchpad Pro has been an excellent companion in my mind. Um, Beyond that, I don't know. I guess just kind of play around, look at, see what you can borrow from friends or anything else. There's plenty of great devices out there. And if you're just looking for adding additional sounds, there's plenty of things that you can get on your phone, plenty of applications. If you got a newer iPhone or not quite as new, but Android device that's got USB-C, you can connect those similarly like you can the M8 to the OPXY. You can just hook your phone up or iPad or whatever, and you've got a just massive ocean of applications to go work with and use. So I would not discount that. Um, Beyond that, I've just picked this Korg Mini Chaos Pad 2S up. This has been quite nice to work with, having like the Chaos Pad style filters and effects. And I don't know, I've done nearly 1,000 videos on the Roland SP404 Mark II. I think it pairs incredibly well with the Dirty Wave M8 as well. So I say definitely just go check it out and get a sense for what you like. But I hope this helps anybody out that's looking to see if they want the OPXY. I do think that they pair quite nicely together. They both they don't overlap too much. They've got a pretty good varied amount of sounds and styles and ways to approach either sound design or sampling or chopping, and they're both they just complement each other well. Anyway, everybody, thanks for stopping by. Keep making music, keep having fun. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good. And peace.